And so first of all, I want to welcome you guys to our Thursday night Team Kangen training Zoom webinar. We try to do this every Thursday night at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're interested in building your business to newer heights, greater heights, this is where you want to bring your people. I also encourage everybody to be on the Saturday morning, 9 o'clock call that Eli and Jelena do. I've done that every Saturday morning for many years now, and I always learn from other people. It's a matter of learning from other people and learning to build your business in a moral and ethical way. So we always encourage that you guys take what's good from the different people that speak and use it for your own team. So what we're going to do is tonight we have two guest speakers, and first speaker's up is going to be a good friend of mine, Shan Stratton. I know Shan for about over 20 years. I don't know exactly how many years, but I know it's somewhere between 20 and 25 years. He was one of my mentors back in another company we were with prior to getting involved in AGIC. Shan is known around the world. He's a nutritional consultant to many, many professional sports teams, both here and other countries. And Shan has always been one that you kind of a go-to guy that you can go to for information on nutrition and wellness. And so I've asked Shan to come on tonight. And, right now we're facing, they're considered a pandemic. We're facing a problem that can affect many people's health. And we're not going to make any physical or financial claims here tonight. We're not going to make any health claims. But what we want to do is we want to get healthy. We want to be able to protect ourselves and our loved ones from whatever's coming down the pike. So I've asked Shan to come on tonight and talk to us a little bit about the water, how it relates to nutrition, how nutrition relates to us, because he knows the stuff. The guy's he's a professional on this. He speaks all over the world. He's a international lecturer, trainer, and I've been down to stay with him actually at his place, and we've been over to Fisher Sports Clinic, and he put a couple machines in there for the pro athletes to drink the water there. And not only does he work with athletes, but he and his wife and his kids are all athletes. They may not be professional athletes, but they're athletes. So Shan, I'm going to ask, first of all, tell us a little bit about you and your family and your background, and then why don't you talk to us about the best way to stay healthy during this time?
Well, I'd love to. You hear me okay, Jim?
I can hear you great.
Great. First of all, let me say I appreciate it. It's always an honor when you ask me to speak on these calls, and then especially it's an added honor to be able to speak on the same calls anytime Dr. Filtzer's on there. One of my heroes in the industry and then just in life in general. Is a good man, and seeing so many of you guys on here, it's great to be on. I've been a little bit absent the past several months just with a lot of things going on with China and everything else. But secondly, I also want to quickly apologize for the attire tonight, hat, and just literally come running in from the gym just in time to get on the call. So my workout went a little late. So with that being said, Jim, I love this industry, and especially at times like this when there is a worldwide scare, a concern, and a lot of times concerns and scares are based on fear of not knowing. And I will be the first to say, and I'm sure it'll be confirmed multiple times through the evening tonight, that I just simply am not too concerned or worried about my personal health and well-being, nor am I concerned or worried about my wife, nor kids, nor any of my close family members with this virus, because we know of many of the tools that we're able to do to take care of all of these things. And then really once you drill down, and I'm sure Dr. Filtzer will get into more of this stuff as well possibly, but our bodies were created in a way that we can provide the tools to our body to overcome almost any virus or bacteria that's out there. And a lot of times people don't realize that it doesn't take a whole lot of work. It just takes some real knowledge and common sense approaches to put our body in the best position. Doesn't mean that you have to be skinny. It doesn't mean that you have to be in perfect shape. It doesn't mean all of those things. It simply means that when we talk about our immune system, it begins, and the largest part of our immune system is in fact in our gut. And people just don't realize that. They instantly go to white blood cells or something like that. And our immune system starts in the gut. And that is something that I've been so fortunate to learn from some of the greatest mentors and teachers and experts and scientists, is true gut health. And so those are some of the things that I'm going to be sharing with you tonight, Jim. As a little background on myself and my family, wife of 25 years, 3 kids, all of which are part of the business, part of a lifestyle that we teach, and that is that we believe we've been given a calling to teach and help people understand and learn how to improve their quality of life, because the quality of life continues to go downhill, unfortunately, for a lot of people. So we really do everything that we do as a family. My son runs the store, a water store. My daughter does a lot of work in there. She speaks at a lot of my events with me. And then my youngest son, he's always involved someplace or another with it. But it's an honor to be on. So happy to answer any questions and address any aspects, and then drill down onto some of those, and hopefully watch Dr. Filtzer clean the things up that I mess up.
Well, I'll tell you what, Shan, you know what, we've talked many times about body pH, and I know that most bacteria and virus love a more acidic body. And I have heard things say about viruses that they don't do well when the body's more alkaline. And so talk to us a little bit about that. I know that we can do that through drinking the Kangen water. The water helps to raise our pH in our body. How about nutrition? What about nutrition? What should we be doing nutritionally as far as to get our pH up?
The most alkalizing nutrient outside of water and outside of certain other, alkalizing minerals are in fact enzymes. And that's something that I've taught for years and years and years and years and years. In fact, over 20 years ago, when I started working with the New York Yankees, all we had at that time to really help an athlete become more alkaline was an alkaline type diet and enzymes. And as you can imagine, Jim, to try and get athletes, especially professional athletes, to eat a truly alkaline diet is nearly impossible. Even when I was working with the team nutritionist and the team cooks to provide an alkaline type diet, even if the athletes would eat it, on the planes and on the road and things like that, it's just simply it's not feasible. So we had to use different nutritional approaches, one of which was, and still is, enzyme intake. Now, whether you're getting those enzymes from fruits and vegetables and raw foods, or as most people have to, you're getting it in a supplemental form, enzymes help balance that pH. Enzymes and Kangen water literally work like a hand in glove. They support each other in everything that's going on. If the pH is too low or too acidic, there are certain enzymes that aren't going to work properly. If there aren't enough enzymes, then alkaline water is not going to be as effective in the overall changing of the body and improving the body's abilities. So when we talk about immunity, Jim, it starts in the gut, and it starts with enzymes, probiotics, and prebiotics, all 3 of which should be consumed every single day without exception, especially right now with the virus scare.
Yourself? I've learned from you and others, Shan, that as Americans, we eat our food so fast, so we don't chew our food enough, producing the enzymes in our saliva to help break down that food. And then, so because we eat so fast and we aren't getting enough enzymes, unless we're taking supplements, our body becomes acidic. I know you've said many, many times, we talk about soda pops and how acidic soda pops and sports drinks are. And yet we hear that, a lot of people, they own, our Kangen water systems, and yet they continue to drink sparkling water, soda pops, carbonated things. And so We know we need to get away from that. But one thing you've told us, and I've repeated this many, many times in the presentation I do, that undigested food could be as or more acidic than soda pops. So why don't you clarify that, talk about that a little bit.
Whenever we consume food that is cooked or processed, you have killed every enzyme in that food. In foods are what are called digestive enzymes, which are a little bit different than metabolic enzymes, which are different than some of the others. But within foods, every single living food on the face of the earth from the beginning of time is packed full of enzymes. And those enzymes' primary responsibility is to start and complete the breakdown of those nutrients within that food so the body can use it. When you think about, Jim, that the only way the body's tissue is going to utilize a vitamin or a mineral or a protein or a carbohydrate or a fat in a food that you are eating, that food must be broken down smaller than the size of a red blood cell, because the red blood cells are what carry those nutrients throughout the body. So next time you put a grilled chicken in your mouth or a fried chicken, whatever it is, think in your mind, okay, for this to be used in my body, I've got to get it broken all the way down smaller than a red blood cell. How many times you got to chew? And then there's got to be more help. If we're not chewing enough and not enough saliva, if there are no enzymes in the food that we're consuming, it goes down there into the gut, and the body has a check and balance system that says, oh, there are no enzymes in this. So now I'm stimulated to produce enzymes, which is a natural thing, but we're seeing that over generations and periods of time that the human body is not producing enzymes at the same rate it was before. Many doctors are starting to refer to that as pancreatic exhaustion. Pancreatic exhaustion is simply stemming from that every day, once or twice or 5 times or 10 times a day, need enzymes, okay, I'm good. Now I need enzymes, okay, I'm good. And so it continually gets stimulated, and at a younger age now, we're seeing less production. So when that happens, our acid levels in the stomach, which isn't a bad thing, but if that acid level stays too high for too long, that can and does eventually start causing some issues. Most Americans refer to that as acid indigestion or acid reflux. So they take something to suppress that, when in reality, if we were providing the enzymes needed, that acid isn't produced at that same rate. Acid quantity is much lower, and we're able to keep not as many spikes in our acidity within the stomach. So in no way am I saying acidity is not good. I'm saying that high spikes and drops and spikes and drops has shown to reduce what is called the pro and prebiotic count. Here's where it comes in, Jim, especially when we're talking about a virus or a bacteria. We are breathing in viruses and bacteria every single day. It's going to happen. Certain viruses cause problems, others do not. Certain bacteria cause problems, others do not. So when we breathe in certain bacteria, and let's just use this coronavirus right now, when that virus is breathed in, or consumed or brought into our body, the only way it's going to affect us is if it is able to proliferate and grow. Okay. Now, an interesting fact, the human generation, there's a new generation about every 20 years of humans. Viruses create a new generation every 15 minutes. There are trillions and trillions of virus activities going on, but I think what Dr. Filtzer will talk about is there are ways that we can there are ways that we're able to address reducing those counts outside the body. Inside the body, we're probably not going to reduce the count, but if we can reduce that proliferation, which is done by probiotics, prebiotics, and a proper balance within the pH of the body. But I'm absolutely convinced that pro and prebiotics should be taken every single day right now, more than ever before, because they are, in fact, the gatekeepers to what is absorbed through that gut wall and into our system. If it's a virus or a bacteria or something bad, with the proper amount of pro and prebiotics, they do not allow those viruses to be absorbed into the system and therefore causing a fast proliferation.
So we're talking taking them for the most benefit while you're eating, correct?
Yes and no. The enzyme portion should be taken when we're eating because we want the enzymes to digest that food or help digest that food so the acid levels don't spike. We don't, especially right now, want or need to consume pro and prebiotics with food because we want some of those to be used in the upper portion. Other times we want some of that food to help carry it through the system and be used in the lower portion. That's one of the unique things that most people aren't taught. Most products that have pro and or prebiotics in them are one or two strains, an acidophilus, maybe a reuteri, maybe a bifidum, but the GI tract is made up of hundreds of different pro and prebiotics. There's only 14 strains that are completely and totally stabilized. My company uses all 14 of those stabilized probiotics. Some of them some of them work most efficiently in an acidic environment, so in the stomach. Others, though, require a little bit more of an alkaline environment or less acidic environment. So if you're not consuming the entire broad spectrum of those stabilized probiotics, you're not truly providing the best immunity you can. I've said it many times. You've heard me before, Jim. Enzymes, prebiotics, and probiotics are hundreds of times more important to the future health and our current health against viruses and bacteria than any vitamin, mineral, or anything else, in my opinion.
Yeah, I respect your opinion on it because I've used the products that you've helped to develop for many, many years. And so why don't we real quick talk about how does Kangen Water relate to our health and how are you using it with the athletes?
Very simply put is when you talk to an athlete, and I get this question, there's no doubt that I get at least twice a day, people say, oh, I know this athlete, he lives down the road, what do I say to him? Number one, athletes are skeptical, as they should be. Number two, all they think about is you're trying to get in their pocket. So if you don't address two things with an athlete, how does it make me stay on the field longer? And how does it make me recover faster? We're able to show them that we can keep them on the field longer because, as Dr. Filtzer will confirm, as acidity goes up, oxygen availability goes down because that acid increase robs oxygen as a potential neutralizer for that acidity. So if we're robbing oxygen to neutralize acidity from Gatorades or sports drinks or energy drinks or sodas or tap waters or bottled waters, we won't have the same amount of oxygen availability for performance. Secondly, how do we recover? Every therapist in the world will tell you that the most important thing for recovery is circulation because of the delivery of oxygen and nutrients. So again, we're providing an increase in oxygen availability. We're not increasing lung capacity. We're increasing the usage of the oxygen that the lungs are able to maximize as we bring it in. In that same scenario, we also, with the proper pH, can increase proper circulation. With an increase in circulation, it's less stress and work on the heart, and it's an increased delivery of nutrients because circulation is the blood, which are those red blood cells. Now we're delivering more oxygen and more nutrients as those red blood cells have a better circulation throughout the entire body. pH is probably, I don't know, interesting to see Dr. Filtzer's opinion on it, but I would say the pH of our body is probably the most important factor in one's health or lack of health of just about anything else there is.
That's great. So I know that you, before we go on to Dr. Filtzer here, I know that you own a company that produces nutritional supplements and enzymes that the athletes use. What's the name of your company, Shan?
Core Health Products.
I know it well.
Core, like Apple Core.
Like Apple Core. Okay, so we're not doing this, folks, to sell Shan's products, but some of you guys aren't taking supplements. Some of you aren't taking enzymes. In fact, my cardiologist, when I asked him, when he was talking to me, I said, so, you know what, the supplements I take, he says, I don't believe in supplements. And there's no proof that supplements help. Well, I still take them. I know that enzymes and your different, like your green drink and stuff like that, very important to my health. So how do people contact you on that? Is it, give them the website.
The website is corehealthproducts.com. As luck would have it, because of rainstorms and everything else, our site has gone down. So, but we do have a coupon code for people that if they want to go to corehealthproducts.com, or they can call our 800 number, which is on our website. It's 800-342-4792. I'll put it in the notes over on the right in just a little bit. They can talk to somebody and they'll get them taken care of. There is a discount for Enagic people that call in the next 24 hours, 10% off and stuff. But let me say, Jim, so that we can confirm that this isn't about me selling my product. The reality is I try and follow the laws of nature in everything I do. So there's no way, I think it's completely unethical for a company to say no company is as good as we are, because if you're following nature, you can't patent anything. You can't, it's nature, and nature can't be patented. So what you're looking for, whether it's from my products or from a health food store or a friend that is in the industry, just make sure that you're getting a very broad spectrum of stabilized probiotics. There, again, are only 14 in the world stabilized. So if you can find another product that has 14 stabilized probiotics, that's a good probiotic. Prebiotics, you want to make sure that the prebiotics are also formulated together with the enzymes and the probiotics. The enzymes, don't fall prey to companies that are selling just 1 or 2 or 3 enzymes. There should be a complete broad array of 40 to 50 different carbohydrate, protein, and fat digesting enzymes like we use. So that's what you're looking for. Yes, we do have it, but we're not the only company in the world that has a great blend of enzymes, probiotics, and prebiotics. And if you feel more comfortable with someone else's, hey, just right now, more than ever before, those 3 from a nutritional standpoint are the most important things you can be doing.
Good, good. Well, one last thing. If you were to advise someone that's on the phone tonight or on the video webinar, what's the best thing that they could do as far as overall health? Would you include in that Kangen water?
Oh, absolutely. You've heard me say this before, Jim. If I had someone come to me and say, okay, I can either buy a Kangen water machine or I can get on auto ship for your products, you know, for a year, but I can't do both, without question, get the Kangen water machine. Absolutely, without question. That is, I believe, a stay ground that everything else revolves around. Because if your pH isn't maximized, isn't balanced properly, enzymes aren't going to work well anyway. Probiotics, prebiotics are not going to do their jobs. Your immune system is not going to be as strong as it could be. You're not going to be fighting off the sicknesses, illnesses, and things that you could otherwise be with the balanced pH. So, you know, often you say, what come first, the cart or the horse? Well, I'm telling you, the Kangen water machine come first and should continue to come first.
Right. And I know that you believe in it too, because I know that you saw physical changes in yourself after drinking the water. Shan, appreciate you and Jody and what you guys do for our company and the kids. You know, they're running the store. You guys got a great store down there. Why don't you give us the address of your Kangen water store down there also?
Kangen Water Store AZ.
AZ, Arizona, okay. Yeah, so they have a store down there if you guys are interested. If you anybody in that neck of the woods that's looking to evaluate the Kangen water, or, even if they want to swing by and pick up supplements from Shan, that's where you go down Arizona, not too far out of Phoenix there. Yeah,
we get people come in all the time that aren't part of our team. We will always do demos for other people. If you need a demo done or whatever else, it's truly a store that's here to help anybody and everybody that has somebody they need to get the water to.
Well, Shan, I appreciate you taking the time tonight. I know you're a very busy guy, and just keep doing what you're doing. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you what, I got to let you introduce our next guest. Dr. Filtzer.
Oh, I would love to.
Go ahead.
I would love to. Where do I start, Doc? Where do I even start with you?
I don't know. At the beginning.
At the beginning. That's exactly right. Folks, he probably doesn't even need an introduction. He's obviously one of the smartest men I know. I've had the great pleasure and honor of working with him, not just through Enagic on the road, but we've also done some projects together. Had him come down here to Arizona, and he brought one of his nurses. Was it one of the nurses, Doc?
Yes.
Yeah, and we went into the facility, and we had 18 of our NFL football players, and we done some studies in there, and I've spent a lot of time with them, and it's one of the most humble men you'll ever get a chance to work with. His credentials, I couldn't even begin to name all of those, but he's definitely the one that is perfectly positioned to be the medical director for Enagic. He lends a lot of credibility. And so, man, it's a great pleasure to be able to introduce you, Dr. Horst Filtzer, as the medical director for Enagic and very close friend of mine. So,
thank you very much, Shan. This is always a pleasure to interact with you, your family. I have all met them, and it's just a wonderful group and a wonderful feeling. The enthusiasm that you have for good health. And good health is one of those things that needs to be maintained. It's like anything else. You need to feed your engine. You need to make sure that the gears are running smoothly. And whatever you can do to optimize your health is going to benefit you, because we are, in fact, currently under assault by a virus which takes no prisoners, a virus that doesn't care who the hell you are. It's going to get to you. And the best way to protect yourself from that virus is to optimize your natural immunity, your natural health and body functions. What does that mean? You need to have good nutrition, and you certainly are an expert on that. I eat meat and potatoes, but I do understand that there are other things that are necessary for the engine of the body to function properly. In addition, you need to avoid things that put you at risk. So when you have a virus that is both respiratorily spread and also by surface contact and also other things, you're going to need to try to stay away from crowds. You need to particularly pay attention to hygiene. Until the end of February, when I retired from my clinic, I would see 20 to 25 patients a day, which would mean I would wash my hands at least 2.5 times that much before you go to see a patient and when you come out from seeing a patient. And I don't think that that's necessarily practical in human life, but keep your hands clean. Don't go in close contact with people who are ill. Avoid crowds. And with those things alone, those are good ways to prevent getting exposed, but most importantly, maintain a healthy body. Now, I've been affiliated with Kangen Water for 12 years now. And I don't know how many talks I've given, but it's always been my goal to represent what the Kangen Water does and what Enagic USA does with its product, is to represent it in a manner that is not just factual, but provable. And to that extent, I think we've managed to come up with a series of statements that I believe we can make about this water that are provable and unassailable. And by that, I mean, they're not fake claims. Whatever claims we have made in reference to how the water affects our health and our body, these claims we've been able to prove by scientific studies. And I think this is where we need to go. We need to go together with science to establish that this water is unique. I came upon this whole thing by accident, as you know. I've told the story before, and individual testimonials are no longer popular. They're not illegal, but they're just not popular. But I did one many years ago, and I did it because when I first was introduced to the water, it hit me like a ton of bricks because it was different. It was different the minute I swallowed it. Now, it still is different. And it's different now for reasons that are scientifically explainable. You were talking earlier about general good health. You were talking about enzymes. You were talking about digestion and nutrition. It is fascinating to find that the claim of antioxidant function by Kangen Water was never proven in living human tissue. And we've done that. We've done that in antioxidant deprived red cells, where we show that when we put Kangen water to incubate with these red cells, there is an absolute antioxidant effect. Now that's a human red cell, a clone, a tissue culture. We have also found that when we incubate white cells, which by the way are the defensive cells of your body, the white cells get triggered when an invader comes in, be that a bacterium, be that a virus, be that a prion, be that anything. When that invader comes in, the white cells get deployed. It's like the troops coming up to interfere with the aggressor. And these white cells degranulate. That means they put substances forth that cause inflammation. The inflammation is both good and bad. It's good when that inflammation engulfs the virus particle. That inflammation engulfs the bacterium. And those things are essential for us to develop immunity. Once you survive smallpox, you'll never get it again. So this is how this whole thing started, that we learned that immunity is by being exposed to a form of that happens not to kill you, but then gives you immunity. And the virus here is the same thing. We need to get immunity to it. That's why the haste to develop a vaccine artificial. Anyway, I don't want to belabor the point, but anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties of the water itself in human tissue culture is huge. And then we have an additional benefit that this water is able, in the presence of metabolites such as glucose, substrates, to augment the machinery of the cell called the mitochondrium. The mitochondria produce energy. They produce a product called ATP. That ATP is what you need to run your muscles, to conduct your nerves, to be vigorous, to be strong. And this water has the ability to augment that in a positive fashion. So now we have to come to an additional thing. How does it actually do in the living human body? You particularly will appreciate that exercise is a stress upon a body. Prescribe exercises. We can stress the body to a certain degree that produces a noticeable metabolic effect. And we did this. We studied, as you might recall, when we did this fun experiment together with the NFL football players. And we found that those that were devoted and drank the Kangen water had a much quicker return of their lactose levels. They had a much quicker return to a sense of well-being. They had a much quicker return to a baseline in well-being. And this was a small study at the time, but I think it triggered something in me that wanted to prove this definitely, that exercise-induced stress is ameliorated in a favorable way by the ingestion of Kangen water. Suffice it to say, we designed a study with the help of Mr. Oshiro and a lot of other people who got involved with it. I'm not going to get into the whole history of how these studies all got funded, but we managed to get it done. And so here is a study of 12 individuals. And that number is significant because it makes statistical analysis significant and feasible. And these 12 individuals were consuming Kangen water, 9.5, 3 liters a day for a whole week before the exercise challenge. And that same group used regular tap water in Northern Oregon, tap water for ingestion for 3 weeks at a different time. And the results were dramatic. The Kangen group performed better athletically as far as their pain, suffering, discomfort was concerned. The Kangen water group had a profound rise in red blood cell mass induced with exercise. And this is huge. What do runners do? Runners who want to win practice in high altitudes because it raises their red cell production. It raises their oxygen carrying capacity. And our participants subjected to stress taking Kangen water had a 12% increase in their red cell mass. And that is huge. And then we also analyzed psychometric studies, which are valid. They're designed by the American Psychiatric Association, and they have to do with recovery. How long did it take you to feel good again after this stress episode? How long will it take you to get completely free of symptoms and distress? Again, Kangen water, much better, much quicker, better return. And then we analyzed fine components of plasma and serum for cytokines. Cytokines are messengers in the cell that tell the cell what to do or what not to do. And these messengers can involve immunity, inflammation, transplant immunity, all kinds of different things. And I want to quickly summarize this. It basically has shown the following. The Kangen water group participants had a profound reduction in their inflammatory cytokines. In other words, they produced less inflammatory cytokines. And they also had an increase in production of anti-inflammatory cytokines. Notice the difference. One reduces the production of inflammation, and the other one actually fights inflammation. But most importantly, the enzyme called superoxide dismutase, which I'm certain you know is the most powerful enzyme antioxidant our liver and our body produces, by statistical significance, greatly was increased in the people ingesting the Kangen water. And that is quite huge because ordinary water doesn't do that. So here, for the price of drinking water, you get effects that are absolutely and positively profound within your human body. And we can prove this scientifically and have done so. We managed to publish a booklet that summarizes all this. And this booklet is available. Get in touch with Fred Brown. There are special prices on it. It is informative And most importantly, it tells you the facts. Now, let me say a few more words about the virus. Kangen water is produced by a variety of different forms by the SD501 or the K8, and we have acidic water, which is designed to clean surfaces, to sterilize, to sanitize, and so on. And we have, in fact, found that it passes the EPA standards for surface sterilization and sanitation. And in this particular case, there are 4 bacteria that are being tested, but it kills them all. And in my own clinical practice, I've used this water. So as a surface sterilizer and as a surface sanitizer, the Environmental Protective Agency of the United States approves this water as being such a product. I'm not going to specifically say it kills coronavirus. I'm just going to say that those standards of sanitation and disinfection are met by the standards set by the federal government. And I think that's huge, and it is absolutely true. Now, I guess I'm going to go to Japan this weekend. I'm going to speak to Mr. Oshiro. I would like to see the company take a proactive step on continuing research on how the water works and what good it actually does in the body. And with that, validate, not with false claims or bogus claims or conceived claims deduced from, invertebrates and frogs and stuff like that, but from how it actually works in the human body. The numbers of studies that could be done with this are legendary. We could do hundreds of different things. They don't all have to cost huge amounts of money, but they would validate that Enagic is vitally interested in proving the value of what the water actually does.
Can I ask you a question?
Jawohl.
Actually, right now, we're going to hold all questions. If you have a question, please post it in the chat room. There will be no questions at this time until we finish the presentation. So, Dr. Filtzer, let me go back to you with a question here.
Yep.
Let me find you back here on my screen. So hold on a second. I know that you and I have talked, and we know that the company is very careful to make any claims to anything as far as bacterial, viral, or anything else. And that's a wise choice because viruses mutate and change constantly. There are so many viruses and they're changing, just like Shan mentioned earlier. They have a life. They're changing constantly. And so I know that through my research and studies that they used a 2.5 pH water for Ebola. That doesn't mean Enagic used it on Ebola. And I know that you and I have discussed this, that if a person does not maintain their Enagic water system, and that means cleaning it every 2 weeks, if you're on well water, every month, on city water, if you do not maintain your system won't even kill bacteria properly because you know what? It's a combination of acidity and ORP. Can you talk about that? I know we discussed that. There is an ORP that we need to reach in order to kill bacteria and viruses with our water. And so, like I said, if we aren't addressing that issue of keeping it maintained, we're not going to be able to do any of those. So company knows that if I don't keep my machine clean, if I don't maintain it, my machine won't work, properly. But if I do, it's going to do what it's supposed to do. Correct?
Absolutely. I found out very early in this whole association with Enagic, because at one point we were trying to establish the same criteria for the SD501 as far as bactericidal activity is concerned. And I can tell you that if the ORP is less than 900 positive, that killing power goes down. Ergo, the super SD501 with the extra plates, properly cleaned, produces an ORP up to 1,500, at least in my own experience. Right. And that is absolutely the way to go. That's, without any question, bactericidal.
Now, that being said, I know that the way I've tested it, because I mean, I've had a water store longer than I think any water store in the company. And so I worked with not only with our products, but I've had other companies send their technology to me to do a bench test evaluation on it. I don't know why they'd want someone from, selling a competitor to do that, but they have. And I know that the ORP, the positive ORP, oxidation reduction potential of the water coming out of my SD51 on my counter or my K8 runs around 1,080 to about 1,100, mid 1100s. So, because I maintain my systems. We also do deep cleanings for customers here in the Northwest. And I know that some of those systems come in when I test them before we clean them. They aren't getting an ORP of even a negative 700, ORP, because their machine has not been cleaned in so long.
Right.
So when it's cleaned properly, that ORP, once again, oxidation reduction potential, a positive number, which is extremely oxidizing, that dissipates in a bottle over a period of time. I've seen it in plastic go away in less than a week. In glass, I've seen it last a month or more if it's in glass and kept closed. That's why I like a company that makes what they call Vetricin. They make a positive ORP, hypochlorous acid, that maintains it for a period of time. So how long would you estimate the 2.5 water which you're using to help us to protect ourselves and our family from these different bacterias and different viruses that might come around? How long would you say that ORP actually lasts?
Well, I think if stored appropriately, first of all, light is a very powerful ORP reducer. If you have a clear bottle and you have the water in it and you have it exposed to light, that would make it decay faster than if you had it in the dark or in a dark bottle. So putting it in the refrigerator in the cold, in the dark, will prolong it. But I would say 72 hours is probably the maximum that I would feel comfortable that it would maintain a bactericidal ORP. Now that's also an advantage, because if you use it on surfaces like tissue, human wounds, and so on, that decay in the ORP allows for an initial attack on the bacterial load, but will not damage tissue, because that ORP decays and goes down less so that tissue won't be damaged. Unlike a stable solution of hypochlorous acid at 2.5, which would continue to stay stable and therefore damage tissue over time. Okay,
so that being said, could you give me a short layman's definition of hypochlorous versus hypochlorite acid? I know that you're being a vascular surgeon and surgeon, you use it to treat wounds. What is the difference between hypochlorous and hypochlorite?
Okay, the hypochlorite is the active ion. It has a negative charge, the negative and positive charge. So it is energized. It's produced by electrolysis. Stable hypochlorous acid doesn't have that motion. It's a still inert substance. And so that will produce prolonged effect on human tissue, whereas the hypochlorite will decay and become stable and revert to water and carbon dioxide.
Okay, that's the reason why we can also use this on not just surfaces, you know, like countertops, sponges, toothbrushes,
Right.
doorknobs. I mean, we spray our counters, we spray everything in our store. Every time a customer leaves, we mist everything with the 2.5 water, because I believe we stand a better chance of being, having anything go on in here in our store that could adversely hurt us or one of our customers that might come in here. So we're using 2.5 water a lot, especially during this time. And once again, we cannot say that those of you out here tonight, and those who might see us recording, we cannot say that your 2.5 water is going to kill bacteria and viruses, because if you don't maintain your system, it's not going to do that. And so we want to be very clear on that. The company does not claim that we kill any type of virus. I'm not going to name them here tonight. Okay. But we do have testing that shows a lot more than you guys have seen, because we have testing that's just recently happened and the results have not been released. But once again, viruses are constantly changing. They're constantly mutating, and they're being developed, and man-made viruses. So we want to be very careful that we don't say that our product is going to kill every virus, because the viruses are constantly changing. Would you agree with that, Dr. Filtzer?
Right. Well, the viruses are constantly changing. Look at how many strains of influenza. There have been hundreds of them, and they change every year, and the immunization for flu changes every year. So clearly, that's correct. Now, obviously, the maintenance issue cannot be overemphasized. It's like anything else. If you let this thing go to pot, it's not going to work for you. So that is very, very important. I agree.
Great. Well, I appreciate you clarifying that, because, you know, a lot of people think they can just keep it stored for days on end and weeks on end. And it's not just, it's, you know, it comes down to is Gatorade is acidic.
Yeah.
I'm not going to use Gatorade to sanitize my countertops because it's acidic. It doesn't have the ORP, you know? So, well, Dr. Filtzer, I know that it's coming up bottom of the hour here, and you're a busy man. I appreciate, you know, the fact that you know, well, first of all, congratulations on your retirement. You know, that's awesome. Now you can go do that fishing and maybe get you up here and do some salmon fishing.
I am not so sure I made the right choice. It's driving me crazy already. But,
well, just stay active. Stay active. As a California Hive patrolman, just like Steve online here, Steve Cyber, you know, the firemen, they tell us, after you retire, stay active. Otherwise, your body starts to shut down, guys. You just stay healthy. Follow what Shan teaches, you know. Continue to follow what Dr. Filtzer is doing on his studies so that you get properly hydrated. Now, once again, tonight, we wanted to come on here and just kind of clear the air on some things, because the best defense is an offense, a good offense. So what we want to do is make sure that you're properly hydrating your body. Raise your pH up, because we know that these viruses thrive in an acidic environment. But as you get your body more alkaline, they don't last as long. Once again, we don't claim our water cures anything. We know that God designed your body to heal itself. You put the right things in. So put the right things in, the right nutrition with Shan's, you know, products or other products you guys have out there, the right water. Raise your pH up. You're more likely to ward off infections and these things that float around. Use the 2.5 water on surfaces, on your hands, safe enough you can use this, you know, for eye drops, sinus rinse for a short period of time, you know, gargling with it. I know dentists that use it for irrigating the mouth. There's a lot of uses for it, but do not make claims that we kill. Well, I'm really having a hard time with this. So we kill all viruses, because the virus, like I said, they mutate all the time. We can't keep up with the testing. We'd have to be testing on new viruses every week, because they're constantly coming out. And like I said, there are people that are developing viruses out there in laboratories, and call me conspiracy theorist, but I tell you what we want to do is take the best offense, that is use the 2.5, drink the water, and share it with others. So Dr. Filtzer, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I'd like to just say one thing, and it's less and less popular these days, but it's called common sense.
Amen.
You know, common sense is probably the greatest gift the Lord ever gave us. And if we use our common sense, we don't need to panic. You know, we're talking about a pandemic. We're talking this. This is nothing like the bubonic plague of the 12th century, you know, that wiped out 80% of Europe. But we're acting like it. The stock market is going to pop, this, that, and the other thing. And, you know, the reality is the mortality is not that high. It does affect weak and unhealthy people more severely than basically younger and vigorous people. So whatever you can do to maintain your general health, maintain your hydration, avoid crowds, wash your hands, keep good hygiene, and you know, let me tell you something, don't run around with masks all over the place. They're useless after about 15, 20 minutes. So common sense.
Okay.
That's today.
And I appreciate that. I really do. Let me ask you one more question. Actually, it might be two questions, but one question here. We see people, they're spraying Lysol on surfaces. Lysol, I know, I've followed and read Dr. Doris Rapp's books on childhood diseases and allergies and immune responses to different chemicals. We have people spraying Lysol all over the place. And Lysol, I know that the chemicals, if it's broken apart separately, you could not buy them on the market because they're so toxic.
Right.
And then, so that's one question. The second question is, if we're using 2.5, is it as good as Purell to sanitize your hands? I mean, Purell to me is harsh, and it's got, from what I understand, neurotoxins in it that are not good for your health to be absorbed into your skin. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts on it obviously are that I would prefer the pH 2.5 because I know personally what it does, and I have the test data, and you know, it's water.
That's right.
This is the real thing. There is no funny chemical that you can't pronounce in it. You know, it's like whenever I got interested in the sports-related functions of Kangen Water, of making athletes feel better, perform better, etc. I look at it as water with a special purpose. And then I look at Gatorade. Gatorade, for example, has many unpronounceable ingredients in it. You know, mercaptopurine, so weird little things. And when I can't pronounce something, I probably don't want to have anything to do with it. And so the simplicity of that is what attracts me to the whole thing. And the simplicity of having this function be antioxidant, be anti-inflammatory, produce energy for the body, and most importantly, augment the immune system by reducing these inflammatory cytokines. Man, this is a great thing, and you can't get anything better. Excuse me. Thank you.
So I appreciate that. So I know we talk about, once again, you know, using it instead of Purell. Let's go back to that.
Purell, I'm sorry, I'm having a cough here.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to jump over to Shan real quick here, and I'm going to ask Shan one more thing, and then I'll let you come back to you, Dr. Filtzer. So Shan, I'm going to unmute you for a second. Is there anything else, as we've been talking here, Dr. Filtzer and I, that you want to add to what you spoke about earlier, or, you know?
No, it's great hearing Dr. Filtzer, obviously, with all of that information. I think from my side, the only thing that I would really want to add, Jim, is again, not that I want to say, oh, let's not worry about it, and you know, take all the precautions, common sense, as Dr. Filtzer was talking about. But I'm just 100% absolutely convinced, based on the research I've done for 25 plus years, that the Kangen water, together with a good, complete, ongoing daily blend of prebiotics, probiotics, and digestive enzymes, I just don't see the huge fear that everyone else is seeing. I don't have that fear. I'm not making a claim that it's going to cure anything. I'm just saying, when you look at how viruses and or bacteria work and what our body does in response to those things, enzymes, prebiotics, probiotics, Kangen water, balanced pH are all your primary factors for defending against those things. They are the best there are out there. So I just, you know, I feel bad for anybody that has that fear without the knowledge of what we have as an enagic family, because it just, we have to do our due diligence and do what we know to be right, but we have those tools to be able to do it.
Right. I agree, Shan. And so Shan, once again, I appreciate you being on the call tonight. Dr. Filtzer. So let's go back to that question about the Purell.
Well, you know, there are so many of these different hand sanitizers available. Purell is one of them. I don't know what ones I was using. They change them about every 6 or 8 weeks at the hospital. You know, these dispensers on the wall and what have you. Again, it's a chemical. I like the simpler things. I think Purell is okay. I like the simpler things, and so be it. And you know what? There is soap and water. It's worked for hundreds of thousands of years now, and it works. It actually works. An old saying, dilution is the best solution to pollution.
Amen. Amen. I've been teaching that for years too.
Yeah.
That's we taught in air purification. Let me check here real quick, see if there's any other questions here we want to cover. What is the correlation with pH and antioxidants? Can you correlate someone's antioxidant levels with the pH levels? I'm trying to understand a bit better. That came from Joelle.
Well, I don't quite know how to answer that. Yes, you can. You can correlate your pH level with. With your oxygenation, for example. You mentioned it earlier, when you're acidic, your hemoglobin dissociation curve goes south. So you don't give up as much oxygen from the red cell. So an ideal pH produces ideal oxygenation. And that's where this is an important factor, because the water can actually normalize and adjust your pH.
Good, good. Another question here in the chat box from Kathy. She says 2.5 water or 2.5 often has a smell of chlorine. Is that an indicator of potency?
Yes. Yes. If your 2.5 doesn't have a little hint of chlorine in it, then you don't make enough hypochlorite. And so the answer is it is an indication of potency.
I agree. And then the thing is, when you guys do that, when you check that, also look at the difference in the ORP if you own an ORP meter. If you don't own an ORP meter, which you don't have to have, I've got several of them because I've done meetings for a lot of years, is smell it.
Yeah.
If you don't smell a difference, you know, other than the plastic bottle, I suggest you guys invest in some glass spray bottles, you know, glass bottles with a sprayer on top. And then also, as you spray it, spray your hands and wipe the bottle down from time to time. But I take mine into the grocery store, the ATM machine at the bank. I use it whenever I handle a gas pump, you know, a handle of a gas pump. I hand someone my credit card or use my credit card. I'll do my credit card. I spray down my keyboard and my cell phone. You know, at church, we've done the backs of the pews where people grab to stand up, you know, help stand up. You know what? Just think of anything you touch, anything that you, someone hands you, you know what? Spray your hands, spray that object with 2.5 water. It's water. At the gym, I go to work out each day. We spray all the equipment with 2.5 water after we get done using it. Spray it, wipe it down, and leaves it clean for the next person. So, so once again, we are at the bottom of the hour, and I want to thank Dr. Horst Filtzer and Shan Stratton for taking their time tonight to be on the call. I'm so thankful that the lightning storm didn't knock you guys off or knock you off the computer. And you know what? I respect you guys immensely. I thank you for what you do for our company, and I respect you as friends. And so I want to say thanks again to Fred. Fred's the one who actually supplies this conference, the Zoom webinar line. So whenever you guys need anything from Fred, make sure you thank him again for providing the Zoom line that we use every week. And then, so next Thursday, 6:30 p.m., we're going to have another guest speaker, and he's going to talk from his clinic, and he's going to talk about how you can affect your health with Kangen Water, and once again, expanding on what Shan talks about, gut health. So thank you guys for being on. Horst, Shan, you guys are awesome. I really appreciate what you guys do. And I'm going to do is I'm going to mute the line, not for questions. We had a chance to ask questions in the chat box for those of you who had questions. But I want to unmute the line so everybody can say thank you and before we close out the evening here. So let me do that real quick and unmute everybody. So, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I still have a question for you.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, so once again, you guys.
RC here. Thanks, Doc, and thanks, Jim.
Guys, take care.
Shan.
Thanks, guys.
Good night.
I just
Have a good night, guys.
and Judy.
Thank you all.